Hey there everyone, TGIF, happy Friday and happy golfers weekend. Yeah, meteorologist Adam Claibon here to go over a system that has brought a lot of advisories and warnings to the area. Now, don't want to make it seem too dramatic. We just have a lot of different weather that's going to be happening. So want to go ahead and get right into it. Without further ado, let's talk about what's happening out there currently. And you can see some of the snow that we've had recently in some of the at least lower elevations still showing up at our Tacoma camera, where you can see that into some of the foothills and into the Cascades at Mount Rainier. Of course, that cloud deck a little too low, so not being able to view Mount Rainier today. Hopefully we'll get a chance as we go later on into next week, as the pattern does start to shift a little bit to become a little less active. Now out at SeaTac Airport, skies cloudy again, things fairly dry for the time being, but it is out closer to the coast where we do have some of those showers, and over the Olympic Mountains where we have some of the snow that's beginning to pop up. We have some lowland snow that we're going to talk about here, but it is going to be for very few people. Checking up the mountains here across the Cascades, Stevens Pass. Look at all the fresh snow that is up there. All the cars that are in the parking lots. Exciting. Skiers, snowboarders, loving that. Snoqualmie Pass, not looking to be too bad either if you're traveling across there here during the daytime hours tonight. Might be a different story, as well as White Pass as you look right there live at US 12. A lot of cars already there trying to get out and enjoy. So the weekend forecast today, we'll see increasing chances of rain, highs in the 40s each and every day. Tomorrow will be a bit warmer, but it is expected to be one of our rainier days, especially during the earlier half, where we'll keep more of the steadier chances of rain in place. Kind of breezy throughout the day tomorrow too, but a lot more of the wind tonight and into the early hours of Saturday. That will be the worst of the wind, and then looks like by Sunday things actually starting to clear on out if you're heading to that Panthers and Seahawks game. Now for today, expect that the chances of rain, at least around here in Seattle, will start to pick up maybe late afternoon and probably more so tonight, and heading throughout those overnight hours as temperatures kind of hover around the low 40s as we keep more of that strong south wind in place, keeping temperatures from dropping all that much. You can see the moisture just continuing to hit parts of the south coast. There is the different radar. You can see the snow starting to take over the Olympic Mountains right now, and it's around Hood Canal and over some parts of the Kitsap Peninsula, some of the higher hill areas that you could see maybe some of that snow mixing in. Then you go farther south, you see generally just rain along the I-5 corridor. You continue to go farther south, there going to be some mixing into some of the higher parts of the area there too. Winter weather advisories, those start up later on this afternoon at 4 p.m. for Hood Canal, western Kitsap Peninsula across some parts in Mason County, lasts until 4 a.m. heading into Saturday. Again, not a huge concern, just some sloppy conditions that could develop with up to 1 inch of snow that could be expected there. And then we also have winter weather advisories over the Cascades. Now this is just going to be for more of the central Cascades, elevations above 1,500 feet, where we could see 5 to 10 inches of snow. Some of that rain or snow shadowing happening there, limiting some of the moisture that we have in places there, while farther north into the south and over the Olympics, we have winter storm warnings there. As I told you, we got a lot of colors showing up on here, so just a different sort of system as it comes to impacts. So we could see anywhere between 6 to 24 inches of snow, depending on exactly where some of those snow bands do really set up, but going to be a lot more snow into some of those parts outside of the central Cascades that we're expecting. Then we have the winds that will pick up here out along the coast, already under this wind advisory until 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. Some of the gusts up to 45 miles per hour there. Also seeing gusts that could be up to 45 miles per hour here across north coast of the Olympic Peninsula through the Strait of Juan de Fuca and parts of northern interior and the San Juan Islands. That's going to be until 10 a.m. heading into Saturday. And then farther south, eastern foothills or eastern Puget Sound, that's where we could see some of those gusts up to about 40 miles per hour. So the wind's not quite as strong, but this one doesn't start up until 7 p.m. later on this evening and will last until 7 a.m. So there are all your advisories, your warnings that are going to be a part of this this particular system that's coming through. Now let's go over the winds first, because we have those already picking up out along the coast. Some gusts already up around 30, 35, 40 miles per hour. I think the key time for some of the winds will be later on this evening from about 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. later on into the night. That's where you can see some of those gusts around 45, maybe even 50 miles per hour times. Right here you can see Friday tonight at 10 p.m. seeing across the Strait of Juan de Fuca up across the San Juan Islands some of those stronger wind gusts. And then as we get past that 3 a.m. hour, we start to see some of these gusts come down a bit, but it's still going to be breezy into the earlier part of tomorrow. Just expecting those winds to come down to around maybe 30-35 miles per hour with the gusts as opposed to around 45 to 50. Then we continue to see that continues to drop more and more as we head on into the latter part of tomorrow. Let's talk about now the snow and the rain that we're expecting. First off, yes, keeping an eye on what's going to be happening there at Hood Canal and over the Kitsap Peninsula. Generally just rain and not a huge snow producer when it comes to that, just not enough cold air to really support all that snow, but we are going to start to see that those chances increase a little more as we head on into the first part of the evening here around 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. And then as we head past midnight, warmer air starts to win over with the stronger winds from the south starting to take over. You can see quite a bit of steady rain around Puget Sound and out along the coast. This will be much more of a rain producer than our last system out across the Olympics and the Cascades. We're seeing quite a bit of snow coming along with that too as that's moving on through 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Things are beginning to taper off as far as the steadier rain, and then we'll see some heavier pockets throughout the day tomorrow, but I think generally more showers than really the steady rain going to be a part of our forecast for Saturday. So you'll have some dry times to get out there, and then by tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we're starting to see a lot of that moving on off towards the north and to the east, while areas here still farther to the south, we'll see some off and on showers throughout the overnight, heading into tomorrow night and into early Sunday, where we could see maybe just a very small chance of a few showers around. But then by the time we head later on into the day, things do look to start to quiet down, maybe even some clearing skies ahead. Amounts of rain should be a little higher, 3/4 of an inch to maybe an inch and a quarter around Puget Sound. Farther to the west, we're seeing that some of those amounts will be closer to 1 inch to maybe 2 inches. And then as far as your forecasted snow, expect some of those amounts to be quite high over the Olympics. North and South Cascades, Central Cascades is where we can see that 5 to 10 inches generally across the area. One last thing before we really start to taper this out, we'll really start to wind this on down. Panthers and Seahawks matchup, expecting that to be in the mid to lower 40s, clearing skies. Just make sure that you dress warm with those cool conditions in place. Rain increasing across parts of the northern interior. We'll see highs around the low to mid 40s today. Parts across Central Sound, seeing highs in the low to mid 40s again there too. Expect more of the rain here into the evening commute. And the same can be said here across South Sound with highs again around 44 in Puyallup, around 43 around Tacoma. Tonight's lows dropping into the upper 30s to low 40s. Here's your 7-day forecast, seeing those highs really cooling down more so later into next week. But it's the next few days are going to be a bit active for us. And then we'll head into early Sunday. We start to see this different pattern shaping up where it looks like later on into next week, it's still going to remain chilly and cooler than average, but we start to lose a lot of the active weather as we start to get more of a wind that comes off of the landmass from British Columbia, really suppressing a lot of the systems on off to our south and keeping them out over the Pacific. Well, everyone, I know it looks like it's a lot of mess showing up on the forecast for this evening, but it's going to be okay. I think we're going to be making through it just fine. Nothing too huge to be concerned with. Of course, though, we're going to have more updates for you coming up later on into this evening shows. I will be on, of course, Christopher Nunley and actually chief meteorologist Mike Everett. It's off for a while, so you get Leah Pizzetti later on into the night. Take care. Have a great Friday.